It's lower. I think, yeah. All right, the 50% down. Yeah, we'll move on to the last one before we run out of time. We got 15 minutes left. But Matt H says, I've had 5 non-finance friends ask me if I'm buying Tesla this week. Usually not a buy signal. That is, yeah, that's actually very true. When
Thing is, they're buying from Elon. Well, maybe not anymore, but for a while, when you were buying the dip, you were buying from Elon. He was selling you his shares.
he's not going to sell
We,
anymore, though, Ryan. He
I
said he's
showed
not.
that. Yeah, he said that what, twice this year. I was showing it. I guess the podcast listeners weren't going to be able to see this, but I was showing it on the YouTube feed here, the insider trades. And for those that don't know, Elon sold, I think it was 20 million shares in a 2-day period in December. He's got he is speaking with his actions, and no one's listening. Well, people are listening now, I guess. Um,
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can't remember if there was someone that told us, and I don't know if it was public, so I'm not gonna say who it was, that said we're like, we don't short, but if someone was gonna short Tesla, when would you start doing it? And they said, well, you start shorting it when Musk starts selling. And it was right because Musk top ticked it in late 2021, right?
yeah, and I'm sure he also accounts. Well, this might be wrong, but I imagine he moves a lot of volume in terms of shares. So like him selling may actually have some influence on the pricing.
Possibly, yeah. We'd
But
have
it's
to look
also
at
like
it.
the most traded company.
It's so heavily traded that turnover is just insane. All right, though, let's move to Amazon. Do you want to share the screen and pull up maybe the AWS numbers? Because that is a nice thing you can look at on Stratosphere as well with the KPIs. So my second bold prediction for 2023, I think this is a more fun one, is that Amazon ends the year for 2023, so ends 2023 as the largest company in the world by market cap. I'm excluding Saudi Aramco here, not counting it. Fake monarchy company. Um, so this will, I think, happen from some stock price appreciation and then competitors depreciating in value. If we look at my reasoning here, I have 5 reasons again. First, the cloud transition continues and fears over a slowdown do not materialize. I think there's so much spending already baked in for AWS growth, and there's such a long runway left to go. See the example this week with Southwest Airlines and their antiquated systems this holiday season. People are not going to put up with this forever, and the cloud is clearly better. So I think the transition still has a long runway to go. Second, the non-AWS part of the business gets back to profitability. We have advertising, normalization of the e-commerce market, and then cutting the fat with the layoffs they just did. Third one, and this is important because they have to catch up to Apple because Apple is about double their market cap right now, I think, or even more. I think Apple continues to fall for multiple reasons due to a down year for the hardware market. And then, we have the China exposure that's really affecting their supply right now. And I think the chickens finally come home to roost on anti-competitive behavior, and that could impact. This is no way to invest, but I think just speculating, it could impact what if you kind of get what I mean there, Ryan, right? Where that stuff finally starts happening, then I think investors will get forward looking. They could get a little nervous about that. I think that's less likely to happen. The more important thing is if Apple's hardware business, which is the most important for them, takes a hit in 2023. I could see the stock falling again. That's a tough one. Fourth, though, is I think Microsoft slightly falls due to a revenue growth decel. I know that Azure is very important to them, but I could see them. I don't know. That one's harder. I think Microsoft is going to be the toughest one for Amazon to blow by because it is almost twice the market cap. And then if we look at the fourth giant, there's Alphabet and Google, same company. I think they will do fine. They're kind of a similar market cap to Amazon right now, but slightly higher. But I think they have less upside than Amazon just because search may have a down year. So what do you think, Ryan? And you're seeing here at the chart, we have the AWS revenue, which is closing in at $80 billion, and then AWS operating income, which is closing in on $25-30 billion. It's the most important part of Amazon's business. But if we also look at the
This is the revenue, the revenue growth rate.
yeah, and I mean it's gone down, right? To what, 20, 25%, but
Yeah, not surprisingly, considering that it was growing,
yeah.
60% 5 years. That's going to happen, but nominally revenue growth is probably accelerating.
Well, yeah, look at that chart. Yeah. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
growing. And we, the backlog numbers are so strong. And this is not thinking long term for Euro AWS. There could be some problems about the growth rate long term. I think there could be some good arguments for that. For 2023, I think a lot of it's already baked in. And then if you look at the non AWS revenue, that's still hundreds of billions of dollars. And if they finally show some margins there, which they might not. I think that's a little bit riskier. And again, this is a bold prediction I don't think is going to come true, or I wouldn't have a 90% confidence rating is going to come true. But I think it's possible that the margins are higher than people think on that stuff on that non AWS. So just combine advertising, e-commerce, whatever, streaming video, all that stuff. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think there's a chance you're right. The only one that, what's Microsoft at today?
I pulled up the market cap table. So Apple's 2 trillion, Microsoft's 1.8 trillion, Amazon is 860 billion. So it's hard. Yeah, like you said, it's hard to see Microsoft falling that much, but I think that upside at Amazon would be quite high if they can show they can get to consolidated. There's a clear path to say $50 billion plus in operating income with these long runways ahead of it. That, I think the market could value that at least $1.5 trillion if that materializes. Again, I think that's a low likelihood, but the path is there.
So yeah, you think everyone else will kind of have a down year except for Google?
No, I think Google will have a down year, or maybe, they're not going to have a great year. Cloud and YouTube should help them a bit, but search is, I think, going to have a muted year just because there's the, it's a little bit cyclical with the economy. I think it'll do fine. It might just grow a little bit slower, but I don't know
And
if,
Chat GPT.
well, yes, that's going to destroy. We don't need to get into that again, but the just Alphabet seems like if you have kind of you were scenario planning what was going to happen in 2023 with Alphabet, it seems like the range of outcomes is a little bit narrower, right? Amazon seems pretty wide, both
Yeah.
downside if the margins don't, because if the margins don't show up, I think there could be even more downside, right?
I don't know. I have a hard time saying that they will value the entire enterprise at less than 500 billion if AWS is anywhere near these numbers again.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, we've got